and welcome to Fidelity Next, our student webcast that helps take individuals to the next level in their careers. I'm Emily Nuevo, and I'll be your host for today's episode. Fidelity Canada is known as one of the country's leading investment management companies. And alongside our investment team, we have an amazing group of sales representatives who work closely with our wonderful advisor community to help promote our Fidelity products. So what exactly goes into an advisor sales role, and what programs does Fidelity offer to support our large sales team? To answer those questions and more are three exceptional members of our sales team who will share insights, tips, and advice on what a career in sales looks like. So please welcome Emma Rowatt, Stephanie Lee, and Eric Wood to the show. Welcome, everyone. So happy to have you in our lovely studio. Nice and cozy in here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. So let's start off the show. I always like starting off the show by asking the guests, how did they get their start at Fidelity? How did you get your foot in the door? Were you always interested in the financial services industry? And the majority of employees say it wasn't always a straight journey here, and it's really interesting to hear about everybody's background. So Eric, I'll start with you. How did you get your start here?
Yeah, absolutely. Mine was definitely a zigzag, as you mentioned, maybe similar to a lot of employees here. Always wanted to go to law school and be a lawyer sort of growing up. And then partway through university, I met someone at a networking event who worked at this company called Fidelity. I had never really heard of it before, but it sounded like a really good opportunity to work as a co-op student. So I worked there for a summer, and through a couple co-ops at Fidelity, sort of fell in love with the world of finance. So I wanted to come back full time. They said they'd have me, and so I've been working here for a couple of years now in a full-time role, and I've absolutely loved it.
That's amazing. And you mentioned co-op there, and we will dive into that deeply in the show. I know it's something all three of you have in common. Stephanie, how about you? How did you get your start here?
Yeah, mine was a bit different. I didn't really know about Fidelity like Eric, kind of never heard of it until university. And then I went to a Women in Business conference in my first year at Dalhousie, and I met someone from Fidelity there and kind of kickstarted my career with Fidelity and started in the co-op program.
That's so wonderful. Networking, the community groups that we have out there. So great to know that's how you got your start there. And how about you, Emma?
Similar to the both of them, I kind of got started through a co-op program. So I went to Laurier in the business program there, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do. Luckily, I ended up getting placed at Fidelity in finance for my first term. I fell in love with finance, but I wanted to be in a role that was a little bit more client-facing and interactive. And then I was able to get hired back into a sales co-op position, and then been here ever since.
Okay, I'm going to stick with you, Emma, and let's highlight the co-op program, because that's another huge point many of our guests bring up during the show, that our co-op program, if you're in the co-op program, most likely, if you're really passionate about your role, you're going to get a position here, right? Mm-hmm. So Emma, what sort of was that experience like for you, and how did you get a permanent role, after the co-op program?
I think one thing Fidelity does very, very well is their co-op program. Yes. Like how they've hired the three of us, most of my colleagues, a lot of them also went through the co-op program here. I saw a lot of my friends at Laurier go through similar co-op experiences, but nobody had training like how we did. Once we started as a co-op student, they threw us into a week of training where they flew everyone in from all of the different offices across Canada, and they put you in training for presentations, etiquette, dining, things that they didn't have to teach you, but they're really investing in their co-op students and the future Fidelity employees. So basically how it works is if you get a great manager review, after that point, you kind of have to submit interest in which fields you'd like to come back in. And if you have a great review, they're able to kind of hopefully bring you back in another position and then eventually full-time.
Amazing. And Eric, you were actually Emma's co-op student when you were in the program. Can you describe that experience and how it eventually led you to a permanent role?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, working under Emma and the other associates on the sales team that I worked for at the time, I got a pretty breadth of experience in terms of how advisor sales works, the department we now work in, as well as how Fidelity worked as a company and how we operated in the industry as sort of a moving part within that. And it's just started to check a lot of boxes for me. There wasn't any boxes I left unchecked. So it was a really easy decision for me to ask to come back full time. All the things that I learned through the training that Emma mentioned, through the on-the-job experience, and the sort of real company important experience you get as a co-op at Fidelity, which sometimes you might not find elsewhere, is I was doing day-to-day things that had a direct impact on Fidelity's business, as opposed to the typical just entering numbers in an Excel spreadsheet kind of stereotype you hear about. And through all of those summed up, I was like, if you want to have me back full time, I would love to come back. And that was a really easy decision for me.
So training, wonderful training programs that co-ops get, the fact that you're hitting the ground running and you're making a direct impact on business projects and business initiatives, that's so good to hear. Now, Stephanie, I know you did a couple terms here. Suggestions on how to make yourself stand out during your co-op placement?
Yeah, so with the co-op, you only have 4 months, like it's very short term. So you want to make yourself stand out as much as possible. And what you can do is just say yes to everything. So many things come your way, and just being eager and showing that you're interested in learning and you're curious about the industry and your role that you're in makes such a big difference. And I just think that's what I did. I got involved with the Women Leadership Group here, and there's many ERGs that you can become a part of. So doing that just on the outside of your day-to-day role just shows that you're eager and you're willing to learn. So.
Okay, great tips and insight. Now, Emma, I want to go to you because the advisor sales world is very big. I believe you take care of the Ontario territory. Can you just give a lay of the land, an overview on the different roles in the advisor sales community and how it's all structured?
For sure. I think this is very unique to us. It's a very structured kind of approach in terms of how you start at Fidelity and how you get promoted within advisor sales. It's one of the reasons I chose to come to Fidelity. I was at another organization for one co-op experience, and I just saw people getting passed over for promotions time and time again, versus here we really invest in our employees and it's very structured. But you basically start off as a BDR, or business development representative, out of school. When you start as a BDR, you're essentially in the back office taking inbounds from financial advisors and investors who have questions about their account from a back office perspective. They put you there until a position opens up on the sales team, and then once the position opens up, they hire from the BDR pool, essentially. So once you get hired onto the sales team, you're in a BDA role, or business development associate, and you're on a team of 3 at this point. As a BDA, you're making the ship stay afloat, essentially. So you're in charge of making sure your wholesaler is meeting with the key contacts and the best people. You're in charge of planning and executing great events for the team. And you also take more of a focus on prospecting new clients. Then you kind of go through the BDA training, become a BDA senior, and eventually when a BDM position opens, or business development manager, you can get promoted into that. So that's my role right now. I'm a business development manager. And basically what this means is I'm in charge of any time an advisor has a question about one of their holdings with us, or wants to see a comparison, or wants to talk about product. I'm the key person that they're talking to. And I'm also considered a senior business development manager, which means I have a few clients of my own right now, and I'm going through this wholesaler development program to go to the next step. And then the final rung on the ladder of the team of 3 is a wholesaler or district vice president. Right. When you're the wholesaler, you're physically on the road all day, meeting with clients. So you have the other 2 team members, the BDM, myself, and the BDAs here to kind of keep the ship going as well.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful overview. A lot to digest there. Stephanie, if I can go to you in terms of how do you keep that ship afloat? Give me a snapshot of what you do as a BDA.
So basically what they ingrain in you from day one is you need to be extremely organized, and it does matter a lot in this type of role.
Yeah.
You have inbounds coming from your team and also from clients, so it's being able to manage that while also keeping your wholesaler's calendar as full as possible to keep them happy. So organization is definitely the main thing you need to do to keep the ship afloat.
Eric, what can you add to that in terms of the skills and responsibilities as a BDA, and other qualities you need in this role?
Absolutely. Time management is a huge factor. All of us have probably somewhere between 400 to 500 different clients. So if only 10% of your clients reach out in a day, that's almost 40 to 50 different requests and ideas, and there's only so many hours in a day to get things done. So time management, figuring out how to prioritize, and then being flexible and being able to multitask is just sort of things you'll learn to get better at them in the job, but you want to have sort of a basis of that to bring into the role. So you start off in a good spot, and then as you sort of move through things, you figure out what works, what doesn't, and using the support of your team and your peers around you as well, which are all very, very helpful, because the way Fidelity set it up is it's not competitive against each other. We're all very supportive of each other and collaborative. You rely on those people, you rely on the things you've learned, and then overall the time management, the task management, the prioritization will all get better over time. But you want to have a solid basis of that coming into the role.
Right. 400 to 500 clients under your belt. That's incredible. I didn't know that. Eric, what would you say is the most exciting part of your job, and furthermore, maybe the most challenging?
Sure. I can probably answer that in the same point there. It's the fact that the job's different day to day. I like to wake up in the morning and I have no clue what email or phone call that I'm going to get from a client. That absolutely could completely change the way you sort of thought your day was going to be laid out, sort of whole best laid plans kind of idea, right? Another email comes in, completely changes how your day is. And in a weird way, I like it, but at the same time, it can be challenging because you thought you were going to get something done. Now something else more urgent comes up, and then you have to figure out how to reprioritize, retask manage, and make sure you're organized so that way you don't forget what happened before, right. You slip up and miss something, but you also make sure that everyone's updated in terms of where your progress is, what you're working on, and they know everything's getting done. So the fact that your day could be completely different day to day, I love it, but it can also be a bit challenging sometimes, but I love it.
Yeah. So Emma, what would you say, Eric mentioned time management or organization skills. What other qualities are you looking for in a sales associate member?
Definitely. I think those are both two of the key facets that you both already hit there. You're really looking for someone that kind of goes the extra mile. So it's easy to do your job every day, but the right people and the people that get promoted and continue to go through the sales hierarchy are the ones that are continuing to ask for more and seeing what else they can do better in the role, whether that's be taking on additional responsibilities from your team member, helping out with other initiatives across the organization, and then those people definitely stand out.
Okay, you seem like you all have a lot on your plate every day, but outside of your day-to-day responsibilities, I know Fidelity has a great community and culture here. What would you say is most unique about working at Fidelity and the types of things that they offer? Stephanie?
I think the sales team specifically, it's a group of young individuals, which a lot of other companies you don't get. So I've made some of my best friends through this role, and I think Eric and Emma can also say the same. So that's definitely the biggest highlight from the sales team.
Amazing. Emma?
I would agree. A lot of my best friends I've made at Fidelity. It's a very collaborative culture, and we do have a lot of fun. Like this weekend, Stephanie and I are both doing the Ride to Conquer Cancer, which is a 200-kilometer race from Toronto to Niagara in support of the Princess Margaret. So we do a lot of fun initiatives and get together as a sales team outside of work.
That's amazing. That's so good to hear. How about you, Eric?
I'm sound like a broken record here, but I want to echo that. I mean, it's a mix of the culture, right, and the collaboration of the sales team as well as other departments. I'm also doing a Fidelity-sponsored event this weekend. Bay Street Hoops is a 20-year, multi-decade-long basketball tournament that runs with all the various law and finance firms up and down Bay Street. So Fidelity's put a couple teams together. I'm captaining one of those teams, and hopefully bring out the gold this weekend.
So outside of your 9 to 5, you guys make room for fun and obviously, hang out with all of your Fidelity colleagues outside of work. That's so nice to hear. So to all three of you, last question here for young people who are watching this show today, who are interested in getting their start in advisor sales. So what would you tell them to prepare themselves for that type of role?
I would say that you don't need to expect to come in knowing everything, but the most important thing is coming to Fidelity day one, just very eager to learn and excited to learn and get started and help out. And at Fidelity especially, they will teach you everything you need to know, but you do have to have that drive to learn and work really hard when you first start.
That's true.
I don't even know what else to add more. Emma really hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. Eric, anything?
Yeah, I mean, Emma's right. It's that drive to learn more and be better and better yourself, like a small percent every day. And the other thing is too, Fidelity can teach you everything, like Emma mentioned, but you got to bring your personality to the table. No matter whether you think your personality is salesy or not salesy, it can be salesy. You just have to bring yourself to the table, your authentic self, and just be hungry to learn, and you'll absolutely be successful.
So bring your authentic personality and your passion, and Fidelity will teach you the rest, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me today and being here in studio and sharing all these great insights and tips. I really appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you everyone for tuning in today. We hope you're feeling inspired to start exploring the world of sales at Fidelity. If you want to rewatch the show or share with those who have missed it, you can find it all under Fidelity Canada's LinkedIn events. To those interested in career opportunities at Fidelity, please visit fidelity.ca/careers. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Fidelity Next.